Good morning, everyone. Started off this cool October day heading west along the Mass Central Rail Trail from the Thomas Street parking area in West Boylston, Mass, with the hopes of actually making it to the Route 122 parking area in Barre. This was a personal challenge for me, and I was determined to make it this time after a failed attempt the week before. I knew the foliage would be good, and I wanted to purposely stop and take photos, so please indulge a few stops along the way. The foliage was much better the week before, and it was much warmer, but I blew the rear tire out about 15 miles in and had to abort. Hopefully this will be useful to anyone looking to see the actual conditions of the trail. I'm just starting out with my bike trips and find it tough to get real-world views of what some of these trails look like. If you want to see the complete end-to-end time-lapse, I'll have a link in the description to that video. It shows the complete ride, no breaks, sped up into about 6 minutes. The MCRT trail is nice and wide, relatively flat crushed gravel. Depending upon the weather, this first section can be a little crowded as it's an easy walk from Thomas Street to River Street, which both have decent parking. There are also porta potties at each end, so there are more families on this section. Just be ready for the sharp turn at River Street to stay on the trail. After River Street, the crowds calm down and the trail narrows here and there. Still a great ride, but with some twists and turns. When you get to the Manning Street crossing in Holden, there are flashing lights. Then comes the fun. A bunch of new switchbacks to make climbing the hill even easier. This section opened in 2025 and are still remnants of the older trail. But if you follow the path, you get a gradual incline and decline over the hill. And the trail is wide enough for two-way traffic. When you get to the Wachusett Street crossing in Holden, you'll just continue straight down Mill Street. There was no traffic on Mill Street, at least the kind I had to worry about. I did dismount though for Lucy, Benjamin, and Blue, as I did not want to startle anyone, and I was taught as a kid, pedestrians and horses before bikes. The Mill Street parking area will come up pretty quickly on the right. Here you can pick up the trail again. The lot does have a porta potty, then a few more switchbacks to get you back up to the level of the old railroad bed. Now there may be a few alternate routes in this section, but the updated gravel path had me turning toward Cobb Street, which really wasn't a street here, more a dirt access road. Then it's a straight line up a little bit of a hill to Princeton Street in Holden. This is another asphalt road, fairly quiet. The railroad tracks look like they're still in use here, so be aware. Following this for a short bit, you will hit a hairpin turn for Whitney Street in Holden. Again, there may be better alternatives for routes here, and going this way you will get a good elevation workout, especially when you turn onto the Bryant Street section at the top. But with any up, there's always a down. So the ride downhill is really nice, and it gets you to Broad Street, which is Mass Route 68. This is a busy street, but there's a super wide shoulder on both sides, and you'll be on this for a bit. Even more if you just want to stay on the asphalt to Wachusett Street at the intersection of Rutland. I like the trail, so just after entering Rutland, there's a left to pick it up. There's a small climb, and the trail from the road is not really maintained, but it gets the job done. Leaves were falling all day long, and I have no idea how this one stuck. When I pulled over to get it off the camera, it just fell off. Go figure. The trail will come to the Wachusett Street parking area. Again, I think the trail continues straight across the street, but it didn't look like it was maintained, and I didn't want to take a chance of getting stuck or stranded. So we'll check that out in 2026. Turning onto Glenwood Road began a decent downhill run to the parking area. I pulled in there just to check the bike and to grab a snack. I also realized that at some point the rear camera had turned off, so I got that all worked out. And I just continued on the ride. This section begins the pretty picture part of the ride. If only I'd gotten here a week earlier. Trail, trees, and water. It's like you can't take a bad photograph. You're only on Miles Road for about a minute when you get to the parking lot, so be ready for it. Then out to Thayer Pond. This is part of the wildlife management area, so hopefully that will keep the homes off the edge of the pond. Sorry, I had to poke fun at them. I know they're probably training for something important and worthwhile, but at this point my ride was fun, the sun was warm, and the trail was quiet. And these guys came out of nowhere. Just glad I was already on the side when they came by. When you get to Whitehall Road, you probably will want to stop and get off. There are boulders forming a sharp zigzag here, and the street can be pretty busy. Yes, Whitehall Road does loop around. Not sure where it turns into a dirt road, but being in the Rutland State Park, I would rather see dirt roads than asphalt. When crossing Route 122 here, listen for the rumble strips across the road. They let you know if a vehicle is coming. It's a blind corner, there's no crosswalk. They don't stop. So listen and be sure no one is coming before you cross, and cross quickly. At Coldbrook Road in Barre, there's a small parking area and a porta potty. Somewhere around here is where the rail trail goes left, and from there, I have no idea. The gravel path takes a sharp turn here, takes you down to the bridge to cross the river. And with those final shots, we arrive at the end of the trip, the Route 122 parking area in Barre, Mass. Thanks all for coming along for the ride.